And shalom, shalom. We are live. See, Pam is usually my backup plan to see if I'm live. So, y'all put a one in the chat if we're live, please, and thank you kindly. But I still don't know how to go live, like where you can view it from YouTube. But shalom for family, Ema Roslyn, G.I. Jane. Shalom. Shalom, y'all. I'm so excited. Can you tell? Can you tell? Can you tell? Hold on, let me check. I'm pretty sure we are live. I just want to double check. Oh, yes, we are. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ema. Thank you so much. Thank you kindly. Shalom to my Ak, the Mike Stroh, Mike Ford, and to the
Shalom.
Pamster, Pam Ford, my girl, my sister girl. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, Michael.
Shalom. Okay, we're live. Shalom, Casey, for Yah, Palani Yah, Ema Roslyn. Come on in the room, y'all. Listen, we're gonna get it started. Make it do what it do, so that I don't keep you all night long. Okay, I just got an alert saying the Fords are back and you are live. We're good. So, Shalom, Chastity. I am excited because, you know what? I gotta text this girl. She might still be working. But I'm excited because a lot of young sisters are asking about courting. And of course, when I first met Pam, she told me her story about how you and Mike met. Yeah, how she and Mike met and how they decided they were going to court. Is that the proper term in
Mhm.
context?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Before marriage, and the story was so powerful. And I think she told me this a year or two ago, and I was like, somehow you have to get that message out there to people. And so here we are. I'm so excited. This is not going to be the same type of. It's still by the word of our testimony, but uh-oh. Y'all pray for Rochelle. She's in the hospital with her mom. She says she's not doing well.
Okay.
Um, So yeah, we got to keep her and her mom lifted up in prayer. So
Mhm.
Maria, shalom, sis. So anyway, I apologize that she sent me that text, and I had to respond to that. But I think that a lot of sisters are asking me, a lot of younger sisters, and I think that's wonderful that they're asking, because we have such a European concept of dating and sampling and doing things we don't have any business doing, and bringing all of that foolishness in. So I was completely fascinated when I heard you all's story. And I told Pam, like, I had to pause for a second, but I told Pam that I was so excited. And somehow we have to incorporate this into by the word of our testimony. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to let you all share, take your time. And then if I have any questions, if I feel a pause, I'll interject and ask questions. But tell us what the process was. And did y'all lead you, things like that. Go and tell your story to the people.
Go ahead, Pam. You start your
All
part
right.
over, not tell mine.
Okay. No problem. Well, it all started uh, actually before I even got to where I live now. Um, I was doing a postdoc in Florida, and living there, first time having my own real apartment, and um, living on my own, single. And at that time, I was also rededicating my life to really following after. Well, then at that time, it was God, but I was trying to rekindle my relationship with the Most High. I had been in school for a long, long, long time, and um, I was. Uh, and because while being in school, it took me away from just really being able to uh, go to church at that time the way I wanted to, because school just took up all of my time.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Um, I have a I have a it was a job, but it was kind of an internship slash job. I had more time on my hands to be able to really spend more time with the eyes. So um, and so I was going to church and enjoying um, just getting back into just spending more time with Yah. And I knew I was at that point. I was just really I was. He had me on a journey even before I finished school, just to be focused on him, especially with the kind of work that I was doing. He was right in the middle of it, and so when I got to where I was on this job, going to church, um, enjoying that time, trying to figure out how to live life as a single person. And by that time, I always had questions at that. How do you know when you know that that person is supposed to be the person you're supposed to be with? And the general answer that I always got from my mom, my aunt, all of the women in my family was, "You'll know when you know." And I'm like, uh, okay, I'll know when I know. Okay, so I thought that I knew like 3 dudes ago, you know, and in every situation, I'm the one that was out. I'm the one that was left hurt, violated, mistreated, abused, um, lied on, cheated on, all of those things, right? And so at this point, it was just complete confusion. How am I supposed to know that? What I don't understand that. And so we go through life. For many of us, we just go through life just saying, "Oh, okay, we'll figure it out. I'll watch somebody else and see how they got together, and then just kind of put one and two together and just go with it." But at some point during that time, while I was working on myself to, in my relationship with the Most High, He allowed me to say, He said, if He's not approved of me, He should not be. You want somebody who's equally yoked with you, meaning they have to be submitted to me, because you are my daughter. Because you are my daughter, you need to have someone who's approved as one of my sons to be that person who you're supposed to be with. And so it was really helpful for me when he allowed me to see that. Um, and that's not something that you can just read and just say, "Oh, that's step number one." Part of that is Yah just showing you just through the scriptures, the person in every one of these relationships that happened that was of the Most High, they were committed to following Yah ultimately. Didn't mean that they didn't make any mistakes. Didn't mean that they fell short here or there, but their heart in their inner man, it was committed to the Most High. And so He allowed me to be able to understand that when it came to relationships. And so that helped me to relax. And then on top of the fact, when he said, in one of the scriptures where he said, um, the man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. I said, "Oh, so it's not for me to go out and actually do all the pursuing. I'm supposed to be the one being pursued." Oh, okay. To an extent, he wants us to be just like Hamashiach pursues us, just like Yah pursues us as the bride. That's what He wanted for me, for the man who was approved of from Him. And so that helped me to kind of relax it a lot. Didn't feel like that I had to do something to do that. And so while I was in Florida, went through some things that still never negated the fact that I still had this part of my heart where wanting to I wanted to put a man in that place where Yah really needed to be. And so as a result of that, I ended up in some relationships that were just not healthy. Meaning, okay, Well, this one guy, he wasn't in church at all, and and ended up in a situation that was not healthy for me, where I was violated, and it resulted in a loss of a child through an abortion and all of these things, right? And that's a whole nother story in itself. But and so in the process of that, after that, then he shows me, that's when he shows me he has to be approved of me. And so, oh, he must be in the church. So I've come across this guy. He's in the church, he's serving in the church, he's doing all these things. But later on, I find out, well, he doesn't really have a heart after the Most High. So, okay, so y'all still teaching me, okay, it doesn't mean that just because he's doing the, going through the motions of churchianity, of, you know, doing the work in the church, that he's actually submitted himself to the Most High, right? And so through that, I find out, okay, that's, y'all still teaching me. So by this time, I had been through enough that I was like, I need to be still. And the place that I'm trying to put a man in, he needs to be there. Y'all needs to be there. And so I got to the point where, yeah, I can't, my body can't, I physically can't continue allowing my body to go through this. And I can't let my mind go through this, or my heart. Is too much. It's too much. And so he allowed me to say, you need to get still with me. You need to just get still with me. And when I surrendered that part that I was yearning to put a physical man into, he filled that place for me. And he gave me a lot. He gave me so much peace. There, to the point that when I made the transition from the position that I was there, he was moving me. He was getting ready to move me to another place. And part of all of those things that was happening there, I know he was preparing me to be the person that he approved of me, that he approved of me, for the person that he would give me to, right? And so I had to get real comfortable, just spending time with the Most High. And I did. He gave me that. He gave me a pure joy. Like, I was so eager to follow after the Most High that there were days when I would just go home. I was waiting, and I didn't know that I was honoring Shabbat at the time, but I was doing that. Like, I was doing things that I didn't even know that he was intending for us to do in the first place. And that's because simply I surrendered that part of me. So when Friday came, I was ready. I was so ready. I was like, oh, I know I'm gonna put my scriptures in the bed with me, and I'm gonna spend this whole day just committed to just sitting here and studying the word. I was so hungry because after going to school for so long, I was completely burnt out. I didn't want to study nothing, let alone the word. And that was bad. That was really sad that you go to school for that long to the point you get upset because you don't want to study, and even Yah's word, right? But he rekindled that joy for me. So when I got um, into when I moved to the place that I am now, um, I was eager, and I would sit, like, I remember one Shabbat, it was so quiet in my house, and I sat and I studied. I was reading something, and I laughed and I scared myself because there was no sound, there was nothing going on. It was so quiet in my house. I scared myself with my own voice because I was just that, you know, just wanting to be in his word and just be with him. And I would call my mom. I said, Mom, I am so content. I'm so content. So to the point where if Yah decides that that I'll be single, it's okay. It really is okay. And I would tell her that. I said, I'm just really content in the Most High. And I think that's what Yah really wants. Right. Who that? It was. I was like, ooh, I scared myself. And it was so wonderful. It was beautiful. And at that time I was still trying to find a place to fellowship because I just moved to the area. I was probably like a good 6 months. And then I found um, a church, a predominantly black church in our town that I started attending, and I had been going there for maybe a couple of months. And I stayed there until new members classes began, and ended up going and starting the new members class, and walked in, and Michael was his back was to me. So when I came in, he turned around and he smiled, or he said something, and I said, "Ooh," and I said, "Hey, chill it out, cut it, don't eat it. We've been through this before. Don't 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 go there, cause you know how we do, right?
That's
We're
it.
like,
That's it.
"Hey," and I'm like, no, we've been down this road before. And when you go, if you know the possibility of you going ahead of the Most High, no, chill that out." And so I went in and we sat in new members class, and the facilitator of the class started asking some questions. I think he was talking about something on prophecy or end times or something. Was that right?
Yeah, that was uh I can't think of, it was actually, it was a sister who was leading the class.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, so we would see each other in this new member class, and then we would also see each other in Wednesday Bible study. And so, hi Rula, bless you, sis. Um,
Mhm.
and so and we see each other, and then they start communicate or start talking about something, and then we find each other unbeknownst to us, because it's like a whole little bubble just kind of went around us and everybody got blocked out, and we would go back and forth asking each other questions or making comments to the lesson. Now we're talking about the lesson. We're
Mhm.
not talking about anything else but the lesson, but we were so like, yeah, yeah. And uh I'd never heard of a brother understand the scriptures like that before. And we could actually have like a real conversation around the scriptures. I was like, ooh. And we were just going back and forth. And the facilitator would be like, can we bring this back in? We'd be like, oh, sorry, sorry. And so we find each other doing that a couple of times. And then I think after a while, uh, I don't know, you have to take it from there. I know you how we approached each other with the
Mhm.
phone number. So he ended up with my phone number, and he called me. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 days. No, it was probably the next day or something like that. And we ended up talking on the phone for like 3 hours or more. And we were we were talking, and it was still around the scriptures. We weren't really trying to, it wasn't a thing of, we were just so excited that we could both find a person that we could actually like dig into the scriptures with, right? And then he said, "Oh, maybe we should go out um for tea or something, stop at the bookstore or whatever." And I was like,
So y'all don't see the silly side of Pam. So this is wonderful. Go ahead, Pam.
I was like, no, bruh. I just don't casually date like that. I just don't do that. I'm not doing that. And I said, if I get into a relationship with somebody, it's going to be for the purpose of marriage. And so, and I understand if you can't get with that, and that's totally fine. And he's like, no, I can respect that. I can respect that. And then he proceeded to tell me that he was in the process of ending a marriage at that time. He said, so I can't do that with you anyway. I'm just perfectly fine with us just talking as my sister in Christ, my brother in Christ.
Correct.
This is what we understood from that, and we didn't take it any further than that. And so he said, I can respect that. And I said, well, and so we ended up doing a Bible study, and I'd never done this before with any other. And this is completely different from how I would have um, postured or carried myself with another man, because we know how we as women will put on that thing to make ourselves be attractive to that other person. And I didn't feel like I needed to do that. I could just be Pam. I didn't have to. It's a thing that we do. I can't describe it, but we as women, we know what we're talking about. We put on this thing, it's not necessarily a facade, but it's that air about us that will put on in order to be pleasing to that person, so that they see something to be attracted to. And I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to, it was just us. It was just us. Just talking as that's my brother in the Most High, that's my sister in the Most High. And I ain't trying to cause him to fall, and he ain't trying to cause me to fall. And so we actually did a Bible study, and we contrasted the relationship between David and Bathsheba
Mm-hmm.
and Ruth and Boaz,
Yep.
so that we could so we both knew what we were on the same page with how we were trying to honor each other in our walks with the Most High. Because I had come out of a whole bunch of stuff, and he had shared with me that had come out of a whole bunch of stuff and was on the tail end of ending this relationship that he had. um and so I'll stop there, and then he can I'll let him like talk about to that until we get to that point, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, bro.
And if you want to go all the way back to how how this started for you, or leave off whatever, this is you on
Sure.
time. So go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. Sure. Well, okay. Like I said, meanwhile, so this is how it was with me was, um, like I say, she said, right. I was at the tail end of basically of a 4.5 year old, not 4.5, a 4.5 year nightmare that was supposed to be a marriage, or was not. Um, because again, my background being that I had never dated before, and I never actually had a girlfriend until I was almost 27 years old. So yeah, so like I said, I wasn't one of the guys who was, dating in high school and, doing that. Like I said, I was a geek. I was more concerned about, how can we get into space, as opposed to, can I get this girl's number? That's just how I was. So anyway, so we fast forward. Um, I was, like I said, I met a person at my job, and they showed interest in me, and that was the first time a woman ever showed interest in me. And so, due to, again, lack of spirit, lack of maturity, I decided to, want to date this person. At the time, I actually was a believer. I have been a believer since I was, I think, roughly about 18 years old. And I had convinced myself, literally, that no girl is ever gonna like me anyway. So I didn't guard my heart. And for a lot of guys, we always hear about, guarding your heart, guarding your heart. Um, it's, for out of it other issues of life. I didn't do that, because again, I left myself open, thinking like, no girl gonna like me, so why guarding? What's there to guard? No big deal. Bam! All of a sudden, there she is. And so, being in a relationship with this person, uh, let me say, compromise had occurred, foolishness had occurred, and it began basically getting married to a person whom Yah did not have for me, but out of my fear of being alone and having somebody actually like me and never experiencing that before, I jumped. Instead of jumping into wedded bliss, I jumped over the Grand Canyon into a dumpster fire, which was my life for 4.5 years. So, um, going from there, that's actually how I actually came to be where we live at, right now. Anyway, after the 4.5 years, uh, of that technical marital relationship, um, that person decided to leave, because again, you know, the old like this. The lesson I learned was never fall in love with somebody who's still in love with their ex, and we'll keep it there. So that person decided to leave because they let me know that they actually never did love me, care for me, and so forth, blah, blah, use me to do whatever. Anyway, so after that person decided to leave and the marriage was dissolved, uh, I had, like I said, I was by myself for about a month or two. And of course, the temptation to be like, wait, I'm free. I can go, hey, there's some fine women around here. Hold up. Let me go ahead and see what I can do instead of waiting for the Most High. But the Most High in His wisdom did something that I didn't expect. My mother, who was elderly at the time, got ill, and she can no longer live by herself. I brought her from the city where she was living at to where we're at right now because I said because I'm like she cannot live by herself, and it's just me, and literally before Pam it was just me and my mom. That was it. That's the only family there was. So I brought her to come live with me and started to take care of her. And so my focus was no longer on who can I date. It was I need to take care of my mom. And then it did come to the point where I told Yah, and I meant it with all my heart. I said, Father, if it's just you and me, I'm good with that. I'm content. I'm completely fine without anyone else in my life. I learned my lesson. I learned that don't be so foolish as to um, let your eyes deceive you into thinking this is the person for you because of physical attraction or physical desire. That has nothing to do with anything. It's the character of the heart. The first thing is, do they know Yah? Are they walking with Yah? I'm not talking about just outward things. Are they following Him? What is their character like? And for a man, again, from a male perspective, again, we are visually stimulated. We don't all about worry about what necessarily what she's saying. Is how visually is this person very attractive to me, and guys tend to go that route, and they end up again in relationships that can end up with spiritual compromise and sometimes legal issues that come from a child that they were not ready for and so forth, and all the different issues that come along with that, because instead of being led by the Ruach HaKodesh, they are led by what their physical desires are. And so again, I learned my lesson. To one, don't sit here and say and be afraid to be alone. He said, because he says, never will I leave you and never will I forsake you. I didn't meditate about that. I let the spirit of fear dictate how my relationship was to go. I was listening to, if you don't latch on to this person, there will never be another person. You're going to be alone the rest of your natural life. And I had bad thoughts of myself. It's like, well, you ugly anyway, so ain't nobody going to want you. So it don't even matter. Yeah, I had those types of thoughts about myself. So, again, I didn't believe anything good was ever going to happen anyway. So I just said, this person, they like me. Great. Perfect. Let's go. Get married. Let's go. Let's just go ahead and get this done. Nightmare. So after all that was on, again, and I was going to the church that had been in for a few, for a few years before I actually officially joined. That is actually when I saw Pam. And here's the kicker. And I tell this part, and I said it with the most deadly serious, because this is exactly what happened. Again, that person I was married to had already left, but I was still, we were separated. I wasn't divorced. So my mindset was like, I can't date nobody anyway. I'm still married. So if that person wasn't honoring the covenant, I'm still going to honor the covenant. that person walked away.
Oh my God. I gotta mute myself.
So I'm sitting right, my back is to the door. Pam comes around. I don't know who she was at the time. And a thought, I can't say an audible voice, but a thought came to my mind. And the words were, "This is your wife." And I'm like, okay, right. I did a Sarah. I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't care. I'm like,
Oh
what is
my
this?
God.
Female human carbon-based life form. Great. Anyway, back to the lesson at hand. Uh, that's how my thought. I'm like, I am still technically married. Why do I care about trying to date? I have a mother to take, an elderly mother to take care of. Whatever, I don't care. And so she sat there, when we did the lesson. And I remember it was Angela who was teaching the Bible study that she was referring to. We were sitting there and actually had been studying prophecy just before. I have been studying prophecy, and I'm sitting there at the table next to Angela, and then this voice speaks up. I'll say something, and I hear this voice starts expounding the scriptures, and my head literally goes.
Oh my God.
I was like, what the, and because I had never heard a woman expound on prophecy or any really deep scriptures like that before. And I was just like, right, and this, that, and the other for the scripture over here, like that. And here she come right behind the word saying, yeah, it's this, that, and the other. And so I'm just sitting there like, okay. And so again, like you said, that bubble came over us. And then after everything was done, um, and I remember she had this yellow raincoat. I remember that. And so,
Okay, yeah, I know yellow raincoat. Okay.
yep.
I'm gonna
And so I
roast you
remember
later, but we did.
I remember just starting to talk to her. And again, this is how I knew y'all was in it at the time. We started talking, and we were speaking. My intention literally was not to holler, but literally to say to do a Bible study on phone. That was my intent. It wasn't like, "Hey girl, how you doing? Hey." No, that wasn't even my mindset. I knew nothing about game and talking to I don't know nothing about that. Anyway, she wrote down her name and her phone number, explained why I had her phone number instantly memorized.
Oh my
And then when
God.
she put her middle initial, it came to my mind. And I said her name. She was like, "How did you know?" I actually knew what her middle name was. I had never talked to her before this time.
Oh my God.
So there was some definitely supernatural things happening right there. So anyway, like she said, we became friends. And I was upfront, I was upfront with her. I said, I'm separated, right now I'm not divorced. Separated. I let her know again up front what was going on, what my intention was. What I say, one trying to sneak creep or whatever. Because again, like I said, that other person was gone. I'm gonna still honor the covenant that was made until that is actually um, legally dissolved. And so I'm gonna treat him, like I said, as a friend, and that's all. That's it. And say again, like I say again, and so it was okay, fine. So we actually started doing the Bible studies. Right, we'd be on the phone for hours. And so when the legal stuff was finally done and that marriage was dissolved, it was then that again that I kind of, was like we started talking more and more. And again, we talked about intentions, what our intentions are, because I was not interested in just going and dating, doing the whole dating scene and going out clubbing, because I've never been to a club except like one time. And, basically I think I'll be a person hanging, holding on to the wallpaper. So so anyway, so like I said, again, nothing in my life was about, being at the club, having the newest clothes, having the nicest ride to attract a mate. I knew not. I was just happy to have a car and clothes on my back. I was like, yeah, I'm like, I took care of myself. I was clean. I wasn't cranking, you know. So, so yeah, that's how that's just basically who I was. And so when we started really talking and spending time with each other, again, it was like, what is the intent? And as I said, we started looking at courtship. They're reading about what's courtship. We looked at again Ruth and Boaz. That is a picture of courtship. What that really looks like, because we read things about she was sleeping at his feet, and like what was it, uncovering his feet or having his feet covered.
Mm-hmm.
Boaz honored her when they was there by himself, because they say, how easy would it be to be like, well, you here, I'm here, whatever. He didn't do that. He was honoring Yah. He was
Mm.
honoring the commandments. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right.
Mhm.
He knew the commandments. He was like, this isn't my wife.
Right. And he was
That is
protecting her virtue.
correct. And
He
that's
was what?
He was protecting her virtue.
Wow.
right. And that's what my intent was with Pam, protecting her virtue. There was
Mhm.
no way, I didn't even have in mind to like, I want to compromise you for physical desires. That wasn't even about to happen. So again, I learned my lesson. I had to get burned once to know, don't touch that stove. That's all it takes. So when we were again, we were starting to date and everything, to officially date and talk and have a good time. This was, and I can tell you, I think this was what, late, no, early July. It was July when we actually had our first date.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember it was July.
But before that,
Hmm.
before all of that happened, we really sat down and we talked about this courtship thing. So
Yes, we did.
we began that, and then we really began to actually and understand this. We were and through all of this, the main thing that we made sure that we did was that we it was honest communication with each other,
Absolutely.
and we prayed with each other.
Mm.
So that was never not a thing that we didn't do for each other. And so and that was a first for me. I'd never really done that, but Yah was just compelling me to pray for him because he was going through some stuff even when as he was finishing up his obligations, with dissolving his marriage from before, and she was she was it was tough.
Mm.
And there were
Yeah.
days when I knew it was like, yeah, I was like, you need to stop and pray because I could tell when she if she called and he was there was like a even though we didn't see each other, I could feel the change in the tone of his voice, and I just began to pray. He said, "Can you hold on for a second?" And I just knew to pray. And so when he would get back on the phone, I would just encourage him. I said, and he was like, "How did you know? How did you know that that was because I don't know. I just knew I just needed to pray." And and it was the whole thing was just a lot of communication, making sure that we were being real with each other, and then making sure that as far as my actions are concerned, my actions are not to um, compromise his walk with the Most High, because that's Yah's son. That's Yah's son, and he deserved to have that kind of respect for me to respect him as Yah's son. Who am I to go and you know mistreat him by the things that I would say or whatever my action was? And he was the same way with me. Who am I to go and try and compromise Yah's daughter? I don't there's no coming back from that. And so we made sure that we communicated that to each other. I mean, what I'm saying to you, this is
Mhm.
what we said to each other. So it wasn't an implied thing. We were very explicit about and very clear about what our intentions were towards each other. And we also knew that if for some reason in this process this didn't work out, we could still part and still be friends, still be okay seeing each other in the same space and place that we were, because we hadn't developed any soul ties to each other.
Mm.
Right.
It was real, it was genuine friendship and brother and sisterhood in the Most High first and foremost. I love you enough to let you go and be and you do it how Yah had, where Yah wants to take you. And I love you enough to say I'm not going to hold on to you like that. That's because we can't have that kind of tie outside of the bonds of of marriage. And so I didn't allow my heart to go there and do those types of things. And we guarded each other even when because trust, I mean, we're human, right? So we either both of us had our moments, but we made sure that I said, oh, I see where you're going. No, bro, you got to reel that back in for yourself, for your for yourself, so that's how we looked out for each other. We guarded each other's hearts
Right.
on that front. And so when we decided that we wanted to officially go into this courtship situation, we went and we actually talked with um, our pastor at the time and his wife, and there was an elder and his wife that was also in the church. The pastor and his wife, they completely understood. We asked them. We went. He went to the pastor. I went to the his wife, and we formally asked them. We want to talk to them about entering into courtship, and for them to become those people that we would be accountable to as we walk through this. And so and they completely understood exactly what we were trying to do because they had done the same thing. That's how they came together. And they had been married for over, was it 40 years by then?
By that time, yeah, they've probably been married probably since the very early 70s. They've been married for 50 some years by now.
Yeah, right. And so, and happily married and totally, so they knew exactly what we were trying to do with honoring each other, in this relationship coming together. And they were the type of people, they were like, this between you and him, and we're just here to encourage. We're here to encourage, and we're here for you to be able to ask questions to, and for us to be able to ask questions to make sure that you're not overstepping and causing a soul tie where there didn't need to be a soul tie. And they didn't get in our business. But what? Go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna. I wanted to add. Hopefully, I'm not overstepping any boundaries, but one of the reasons why it's important for you all to share this story is because the people that mentored you guys, for lack of a better term, through this courtship was Gentiles.
No.
So it wasn't Gentiles. Okay.
Mm-mm,
I thought it was
mm-mm.
Gentiles. Praise Yah.
Nope.
But if you think about it, because I know you went to a predominantly Gentile church at one point.
Yeah, the
Um,
second church. The first
yeah,
one was us.
Was
us.
that?
And so if
Mhm.
like one of the issues that we have is we don't hear this enough in our community. So that, that's what makes us even more powerful is to hear a Hebrew couple sharing that you can be, you can do this. So continue.
No
And my
problem.
bad. I thought it was a Gentile couple. My bad.
Mm-mm. No, this was us. And so this is how Yah, and that's the beauty of it, how Yah, they had gone through this themselves. And so they were able to encourage us as to how we would would help walk these things out. And there was an elder of the church and his wife who also came alongside us, um, to also provide that as well. And so and so so after we made that official, that's when we began that first date or outing, as we call it.
Ouchie.
And you can go from there. Go ahead, bruh. Go ahead.
No, the out, yeah, outing, with the umbrella and everything. I had my little top hat on and, the cane.
Oh,
No, you did not.
You know,
man, I was gonna clown you.
try to do like the old 1910 kind of look, but
You
but
want
yeah,
to look like the Monopoly man.
with the money, yeah, that'd be great. But but so yeah, right. So we, as we went through that, again, with Sato, we would, we would work out and things that way. So this is like July, it was July of that year, and you know, again, the friendship was there, the courtship was there, and again, honoring it. There were days, like I said, I mean, one time, like I said, again, I was feeling some kind of way, and I said, "Sweetheart, I'm feeling some kind of way right now. I'm gonna go ahead and go home because I wasn't about to compromise the sanctity of this relationship because of feelings." So I literally got watching him. I said, "I'm gonna go ahead and go home. I will call you when I get there."
Hmm.
And
And for me, that was so
Hmm.
um, it was endearing, it was refreshing, and it was such a feeling of wow, he actually
Hmm.
is looking to protect my virtue. Like,
Wow.
and so I don't have to fight to do that on my own, to do that for myself against him. He's doing that.
Hmm.
He's doing that. I don't have to do that. He's doing that. Because you know how we sometimes as females will feel like we have to um, protect ourselves in situations to shield ourselves from those advances. And I didn't feel like I had to do that. He did that without me having to do that.
Hmm.
In
Wow.
turn, I made sure that because I had my moments and I had to do that for myself. So I had to step up my game and say, girl, get yourself in check. If no, if he need to go and you need to go, then you need to go. And so we did that for each other. But it was so refreshing that I didn't have to do that for myself. That I didn't have to pick up the slack of doing something that he needed to do for him, for himself,
Hmm.
guarding my virtue. And that was so um it I felt safe. It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel protected. It um it helped me lower my guard a little bit more where I could just okay, I really can be myself. I mean, I can, you know, and there was one moment where I think I wore some coveralls, and I had on a t-shirt that was, I guess it was too low for bruh to deal with. And so he said, sweetheart, you need to go and change that shirt. And I'm like, what? Look, I got the coveralls over it. He said, no, you need to go change that shirt. And I said, okay. And I was totally fine with doing that. Whatever will help you not, go down a road that you don't need to go down. Right. And so that was fine. But it was really nice for us to be able to get to the point where we could be that honest with each other. We were that real with each other so that we could ask each other some really, 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 really hard questions. You know, how do you deal with money? How is your relationship with your mom, right? Or your dad? How are you honoring them? What things trigger you? How would you um in this financial situation, or if we're dealing with debt, how are we going to work out how to get out of it or how to manage that and eventually eliminate those things. How would we manage money together, right? All of those things. We were asking each other those questions. People who are in marriages or get themselves in relationships, and this is what I've just seen in my family and my friends' family. You get together and you ask them questions on the back end after you've already, you know, said the I do's. And we decided to ask those questions way ahead of time before even getting into a situation where our hearts were overly invested. And then we again create another soul tie to the point that if this thing didn't work out, then we're looking at each other funny across the pews in the church. And this is what happens so often between male and female relationships in the church. You end up creating an unintended soul tie. You may not necessarily have been
Mhm.
intimate with each other, but you've been intimate in here and in
Right.
here.
Correct.
And which would cause a person when you get to the place where that's not going to work out, you're looking at each other funny, or sometimes you can't look at them at all, and then one or the other or both end up leaving, and you compromise your walk with the Most High. I've been there. I was one of those people, right? And I didn't want that for us, and so that's why we began asking and talking about these things um, during this period without us overly we made sure even in this courtship we said, now understand, if either one of us decides that how you how you are how you are responding to these questions, the situations that we're finding ourselves in, we're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we handle these things, right? um to the point, just understand that at any point during this courtship, if for some reason we've realized that one or the other isn't the person that we're going to, cleave to for the rest of our lives, that it'd be okay. It's okay. And we would be okay with us not
Right.
pursuing it any further.
Yep. And that's
Uh,
why. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's what I was going to say. Leading up to, like I said, I keep mentioning July because it's significant. Is because a month later, I proposed. August
How'd
of
you do
that
it?
same year,
How'd you do
and
it?
I asked her, and first reaction was her deer caught in the headlights look at me like, did this Negro just ask me to marry him? It was like, yes, you heard me correctly. And like I said, I proposed. And I said, and I'm like, don't answer. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna leave for a little bit. Come back in come back in a little while. Come back. And I said, if the answer was no, I'm like, it's okay. We're still friends. It's all right. It's good. So I go out and I call our pastor's wife. She is overjoyed. And then I call my friend who was the elder at the time. He kind of laughed. He said, man, I said talk to her. I didn't say ask her to marry you. And it was like that. And then we gave the phone to his wife, who was hilarious. I told her what was going on. She's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Some of the women in church saw us together and they were like, sisters, y'all already know what's going to happen here, right? And they knew. They knew. It's like, yep. So obviously I came back and she accepted the proposal and we courted. So we started like it was like what, a year, almost a year and a half.
Man.
It was
Mhm.
it was a year and a half, but I said it was a good thing because again, the reality of a changing life begins to set in during that time. Because again, people are mostly in love with the idea of being married and so forth, but not the reality, not the emotional. I say, do you realize now that your life is no longer your own? Do you now realize that it's no longer about you, what you're going to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it? Because now you have another person that you must consider. And so, like I said, for brothers, I can't, express this enough. When you get married, or when you're thinking about it, if your idea is she's gonna fix my food, she's gonna make sure, she's gonna rub my feet, rub my back, make sure, when when I'm ready to do something, she's gonna be ready to do something. If that's your idea of a marriage, please don't, because the only thing you're going to do is not only compromise her, you're compromising your own witness, because you're going to end up basically with a woman who is acting not because out of necessary, I mean, the love that she may have for you, you're manipulating.
Mm.
And no, love has nothing to do with manipulation of the other person for your own personal gain. If that's your intent, please don't get married. Don't do it, because you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to hurt them, and possibly the person who was meant for that other person, because they might
Mm.
be dealing with that person according to the bitterness they had for you, because you weren't trying to act right, because you were being selfish, only thinking about what can I get from her for my own pleasure. But like, to take it back, like, hey, back in the day, women did what the man wanted. It was like, yeah, the Gentiles nations did do that, but what does Yeshua say? Talking to his disciples, said, "It should not be so among you." We
Mm.
have to have a different mindset. It's like the question is, it's not about what can I get from her. It's like, how can I serve her?
Mhm.
Are you
And it's
willing
the
to
same
serve?
for us too. Yep. How am I to serve him? Especially guarding his heart. Becoming a helpmeet, that is a strong, strong word.
Don't give it away. We're going to do a
I
segment
won't.
on that.
Yes, ma'am. But just
Please.
know uh, that's not a light calling. That's not a light calling.
Right.
Just as a husband is supposed to give himself, like Hamashiach gave himself, gave his life for the church, you know, we as a helpmeet, that's a strong word. And we'll talk about that later. So don't think that your responsibility to that man isn't as equally sacrificial.
So I want to go back to I want to jump back into all the way up to the day you all said I do, but I want to ask you your perspective on submission.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, submission, I think, is really misunderstood a lot, especially in Western culture,
Mm-hmm.
because when, again, from, a man's perspective, when, even like I said, even among some of these, you know, um, some Israelite brothers who come with some other strange things that are not biblical. When you hear the word submission, we think of Edith Bunker and Archie Bunker, how she just, oh, watch she, like, she's, she's just, running around like a chicken with her head cut off, always trying to please him. And like I said, oh, that's what a good wife is like. She don't talk a lot, she don't have her own thoughts on things. She just what was that, Coming to America, whatever you like. No.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people think submission is supposed to be. So a man thinks that's how wife is supposed to be. Again, if you have that type of mindset, please don't get married. Don't do it.
Mm.
Um, Submission to me is, it's being humble enough to allow your wife to speak into your life when you ain't walking the right way.
Mm.
If your mindset is different, in other words, if you have a character issue, to be allowed that your wife will speak to these things and you not blow up at her. Like, why are you in my face? I gotta go through this every day at work, and I got here have you talking at me too. Blah blah blah. It's like no no no. She's not putting you down. If you have a character, because again, that's what a help me does. It's like let me show you some things about yourself to help you grow. And we have to put, like I said, as men have to put our pride away and be like, say but she's not putting you down. She's not rolling her head, neck at you saying, man, you ain't no good, you this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. If she was like that, then again, you have to question, whom did you actually marry? If that's her constant attitude, because hey, everybody has an off day. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So submission for me means being humble enough to listen to your spouse, take what they say in, and mostly take it before the Most High, and like, Father, these things that she has spoken, you see that in me, change me. And that's to me is being submissive. Is not allowing your pride to drown out the concerns of your spouse,
Mhm.
and being able to accept what they say to you as not an attack on you, but
Mm-hmm.
rather say, let me help you so that you can grow in the Most High, because as you grow in the Most High, I grow with you. You bring up the whole family. So that's
Mhm.
that's how I look at it.
Mhm. And it's the same where submission is for on both ends. Both are to be submitted to the Most High first, and then submitted to each other.
Hmm.
So it's not just a one-sided
Mm.
thing. You know, a woman isn't just to be the one just submitting to her husband. The husband is supposed to be submitted to his wife. I mean, and that's scripture. That's scripture. He gives us both that responsibility because in doing that, that's how we model to our children what that looks like, submitting ourselves one to another. He even says that to us, even as his children, just plain. Submit yourselves one to another, love one another, be accountable to each other. And then as you follow me, as you follow him, as we follow him, that's the model. That's the model. Even for Hamashiach,
Right.
he
Look at
came to serve his bride. He came to serve his bride. How about that?
Mm.
He
yeah,
came to serve his bride. He did the same thing.
and think about how he did that with his Talmudim, with his disciples. He stripped down like the least of the servants and washed their feet.
Hmm.
The creator and king of the universe took off his garments, put on probably nothing that counted maybe just a loincloth, and washed the feet of his creation. If he is humble enough, the creator of all things, when the angels fly around crying, holy, holy, holy is Elohim Almighty, who was and is to come. And he's the one that sit on that throne, and they're doing that, yet he will humble himself to do that. That's a picture of how we are to serve one another. That's how
Man, that's cool.
like I said, I'm to serve Pam. Am I perfect at it? Ask her about am I perfect? The answer is obviously no. But that's
But
what I
you do a good job. You do a good job, bro.
thank you. As do you.
Oh, praise you.
There you
Praise
go. So keep going with the courting story. Keep going. It gets better.
you. Okay, so we were in this thing for a year and a half. And we set after he proposed, we set a date. And at first when we set the date, he was like, a year and a half? That's a
Right.
year and a half. And I said, yeah, that's what we got to do. And that would allow us to begin the process of understanding what we are embarking on with each other and creating an opportunity for the Most High to be glorified in how we walk this out. And during this whole time was probably like 3 or 4 months of us actually like um, purposefully dating, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he proposed, and then we he bought the ring and everything, and then we got back that Sunday after doing that, and it was announced in Sunday school class, and people were like, "What? What? We didn't even know y'all were dating." And it was like, "That's right.
Correct.
It wasn't for you to know. It was not. Everybody don't need to be in your business."
Mm-hmm.
We had the people who needed to know, they knew,
Mhm.
and they were quick to say, "See, we kept we." Mm. And that's what's supposed to happen, because not everybody is supposed to be in the minutia of your relationship when you're coming together.
Mm-hmm.
This is about you and that person and the Most High, and those particular people, wise counsel, who will give you the truth and encourage you to walk in it. And so that's all we needed. And so when it was announced, people were like, "Whoa!" And so now we're a year and a half starting this thing, and so all eyes were like, "What you doing? What's going on? How y'all working this out?" And you know, we went through the process of continuing on in the courtship, honoring each other, setting really safe boundaries around each other this
Mhm.
through that whole time. And it was amazing how Yah kept us. Okay?
Well, you said that from your whole soul.
Because that's where it came from. That's where it came from. He really did. I mean, there was some serious peace going on with we didn't even it wasn't a thing anymore. We had gotten so accustomed to just walking this out without having all those other we weren't trying to awaken all those feelings. That was for another time. This time was for us to ask again, continue asking the really hard questions, figuring out how we were going to come together, the logistics of how we were going to walk out, bringing two households into
Mhm.
one household. He was still taking care of his mother at the time, so we were actually having to consider also bringing her into that household with us, and we were totally fine with that. I was okay. I was totally fine with that. Um, and we were trying to figure all those things out, and then um, figuring out how we were going to how this ceremony was going to go and all of that. So I knew that we were going to be married in my hometown in Birmingham, because my mom, she didn't have that opportunity to help marry off my brother, so she really wanted that, and we were wanting to honor her being able to do that. We were trying to keep it small. My mama was not having it.
Oh,
No.
that's
Not my only girl. No, no. And so we went through all of those you know, all of those processes. Um, and unbeknownst to me, I found out like toward in the fall that I was having these problems with my hip, and it was hurting. I'd had some dental work done. I didn't know at the time that I developed a dry socket. Didn't know that that was going to turn into something really big with some medical issues behind that, and ended up in the hospital around the holiday, and we were apart from each other for like 3 months during that time,
Hmm.
and that was hard.
Yes, it
But
was.
it was really hard because we'd been used to seeing each other like every day. And so um, he came. So, and it was also the time that he was going to be visiting my family and getting like essentially introduced to my family. And so we got there, and he came. I was in the hot by that time. I landed in the hospital, and I spent the holidays, in the hospital in Florida. And he came down. He got to meet my brother and my family down there, and uh, ended up having to fly back home with my mom. And here we go. And so you let me know. I know you talked to me. What did you talk to me? Okay, so you go ahead.
Yeah.
Take it
So
from there.
yeah. So being apart from her, like I said, it was difficult. Um, and there was a part of me at one time, and I mentioned this to her again because of the stuff that had happened to me in the past. I was thinking like, okay, this is a sign. This isn't supposed to happen. Just let her go now. Just be done. End it because
Oh wow.
this is a sign. Um, just be by yourself. You're a geek. This is be by yourself. You know. And so it was just like, and when I told her, she was like, "What?" I said, "Well, if you want to break off, I'll understand." Was basically trying to like give her an out because like we're not gonna see each other for months, like that. Things can cool off. If you want to call it off, I understand. Blah blah blah. Trying to convince myself that yeah, this is gonna end. Because again, I expected only the bad, not the good. And so when she was kind of basically looking at me sideways through the phone, like you lost your, I love you. No,
Oh my God.
it's like no. It was like okay. so so like I said again, so again, I basically I was house sitting, while she was gone and everything, because like I said, I was working, full time. My mom was going to what you call an adult daycare. So when she got, I got my mom situated, make sure she ate and everything, she was good to go. I would go to Pam's house and be there, do whatever, get her mail together, send it to her, clean up. But the most important thing is that we still communicated every day
Mm-hmm.
throughout this whole thing. And then I'm going to tell you about the surprise. One day, I was talking to her mom, whom I loved, um, and we want to surprise Pam. What I did was I was talking to her on the phone. She didn't know that I had got on a plane, flew down there, and I said, let's have lunch together. And now she's probably thinking that I'd be on the phone, up here, and we'll just have lunch over the phone and so forth. And I'm talking to her on my cell phone and talking to her, because her mom comes and gets me, and I'm walking into the house, and then I'm still talking to her on the phone. And I say, yeah, like this, like that, and then I see her in the room. And I think either I go and I see her in the bedroom, and I was just like, yeah, having lunch. She looked at me broke into tears.
Oh,
She broke into tears. I think I teared up a little too because we hadn't seen each other in like what 2 months,
oh.
something like 2 months or something like that. Because she had to stay there and recuperate because it was month long recuperation for this thing. So so yeah, so we sat there. I think I stayed the weekend. Like I stayed at her aunt's or was going to be my father-in-law's house. Um, there and I had to fly back over the weekend because again I couldn't have my mom stay for a long amount of time, by herself. So yeah, we did that. And another thing, I'll tell you that when it comes again about catching feelings and being careful,
Excuse me.
we actually did not kiss until our wedding day. Didn't kiss on the lips till our wedding day, because again, brothers, just kissing on the lips could potentially spark something that doesn't need to be sparked if you're not married. It can, so it's like, on the cheek, let's go a nice hug, kiss on the forehead, fine. But to me, that's something that's reserved. That is a sign of a sealed intimacy. Because
Mm,
that's how I see it, as a sealed intimacy, kissing on the lips like that. Because again, kissing on the lips could start more than what needs to be if you're not married.
mm-hmm.
Um, so like I said, we reserve that very special thing for our wedding day. So yeah, that's like I said again, it was a very interesting year and a half. Where I said through all of it, how Yah kept us. Because again, feelings are there, desires are there, and for some people, they'd be like, I couldn't hold on for you. We gotta go to the courthouse. Let's get this done. You know, just for because the desires are there. That
Mm-hmm.
no, when Yah is in the center of it, that delayed time, you're allowing Him first of all to help you learn how to control yourself. Because even in marriage, there are times you got to control yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, should a pregnancy occur, you might have to control yourself because there may not be a way to be as you were before due to
Mm-hmm.
the child being there. And so, again, it was a exercise in self-control. It's like, will you trust Yah enough to keep you until your wedding day? Because if He's the center of it, it's not going to be about, let's think about the honeymoon. Let's think about the honeymoon. No, let's think about the marriage. The marriage. After the I do's, it's life. It's not, hey, cool, we got married, we did this thing, we had a honeymoon. All right, be breezy, we done. Because for some people, that's how it is. They think it's just the one event, the one day. It's like, no, it's like the door, like a door to a house isn't the house. People are like, oh, I love this framework, and they love the framework. I'm like, where's the rest of the house? No, I just love the framework. You ain't got a house. The marriage is building that house. And that's, to me, what marriage is, it's building that actual home. The wedding is just the door.
Mm.
That's it. Say, you need some floors, you need some walls, you need some windows, and most of all, you need a roof you're covering, which is the Most High Himself. He's your roof for this whole thing. Because without that roof, the rains come, the storms come, it blows everything wild. But great, you got a door, but you ain't got no house.
Mm. So so while you guys were recording, was y'all giving you or just you, Mike, as the head, or both of you, a vision for what your marriage was going to look like? You know what I mean? Or how y'all wanted it to play out?
Um, that's hard for me to say. Because all I know was I said I knew the mistakes that were made previously in the relationship I was in before.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew was what you did here, don't do here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say what you're focused on, what was there, don't focus that on over here. Um, and the vision was again for me, it's gonna be like this. Again, in good times, bad times, the sickness and the health, to death do us part. Is that no matter what happens, we stick in this, we riding this out. There was a time when I did not think it was going to be, and this was years into the marriage, that like I said, I'll share it. Say that I wanted to step away because because I was under a lying delusion, thinking that things were not right in the marriage, and I was going to walk away.
Mm.
It was just like I said. I feel like I said I feel like I don't belong here anymore. And it was like I said, it was basically a lying delusion. Um, there was external things happening. Like I said, the depression I was going through, stuff at work, but it's like that's not an excuse though. It's not an excuse. I wasn't feeling like again. I was like, I don't belong here. I just
And that was the first marriage.
no. This was with ours.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So as I said, people think like, oh, it's gonna be roses and great and all the time. Say no. Again, when I said the marriage, I mean, the wedding is just the door to the house. If the house is built on a solid foundation and the roof is Yah himself, when the storms come, the house will still stand. Without that roof, it's going to be blown apart. Without that foundation, again, which is Yeshua himself, it's going to fall apart. Because Yah is that roof, Yeshua being that foundation, he had to snatch me back and be like, you've been lied to. You're lying to yourself. You allow other things to lie to you to make you think that what I put together was not for you.
Mm.
And it was like, and it took a while. I had to confess my sins. It was like, wow, that's why you guard your marriage, you guard your life, you guard because again, people say who suffer from depression, um, anxiety, so forth, different things. When those things are prevalent, the enemy can come and use those, manipulate those, and be like, the reason why you're feeling this is because of them. You need to get away from them, and you'll feel much better, which is a lie. Instead of say, what were those vows again? In sickness and in health. You remember those, Mike? You remember that? Who's your helpmeet again? Remember her? When did she do you harm? When? Pick a day. There wasn't one. Right. Exactly. And so after, like I said, after all the tears will be dealt together because things that she might have been going through, we're going through. It's like you had to do this. It's say, confess your sins one to another. We did, and the love that we had that came out of that became that much stronger. And so again, again, even in marriage, the enemy can't attack marriage, and we see it all the time. We see this all the time in various things, various ways. That's why you have to protect your marriage. You have to protect your hearts. Even in the marriage, you have to protect your heart because it's like, hey, protect yourself. Because again, the enemy will come with little right here like that until he's building what back in the days of the Romans is what you would call siege works. Put little things here to build a ladder until they can finally breach the wall and come in and destroy the city. It's like, don't let the enemy start the siege works. And the siege works starts in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say constantly renewing your mind. Be careful what you watch. Um, I know, like I say again, we've seen marriages fall apart because one person was believing what some celebrity was telling them about what marriage is supposed to be. We've seen um, people follow. I mean, I'm called like the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and want to live that kind of life. And if that person, that man, ain't providing for that, all of a sudden they out the door because they're like, oh, look at them, they doing good, they balling. What you doing?
Mm.
And brothers, same thing. When you see like, oh, she got, oh, baby, can you look like this? Can you look? Now you comparing your spouse to some made up brushed image, thinking that, oh, that's what I truly want. But it's like, have you lost your ever loving mind? I'm like, what Yah pushed together, let no man put asunder.
Mhm.
How much clearer can he be? He didn't stutter.
Hmm. And that includes the people in the marriage. That includes people in the marriage, not just the
Hmm.
ones from the outside, the ones that
Mhm.
are the people who are actually in the marriage.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, look, like I say again, guarding. It said when I say guarding your house, you're guarding what comes through your eyes, what
Hmm.
comes through your ears. If you hear songs like, go back to the '90s, Usher, My Way, what I say goes. If you have that type of mentality, again, you don't want marriage. What was that? Should I leave the one I with? Start a new relationship? That type of stuff. If that's your mentality, marriage is not for you. Stay single. If you don't have a desire to commit to the person you're with, and I mean committed in Yah, don't get married. Do not make that covenant because you will end up breaking it. And not only break it, said your walk is compromised, your spirit is compromised. Hasatan is laughing at you. If you have children, they're gonna look at you like, or be like, you talking about me getting married? I'm sleeping with this person. I'm like, yeah, why get married? Because y'all didn't work out. All y'all did was argue. So I can do what I feel like I want to do, and marriage ain't it. And then your children get cursed with something because you ain't walking right. Because you listen to some person on TV tell you what marriage is supposed to be when the scripture says what marriage looks like. I'm like, what does that look like? The wedding supper and the lamb. What does a marriage look like? Go to the book of Revelations when the bride is with Yeshua. That is what a marriage looks like. That is how we're to model ourselves after, not what we see on television, because they're not going to walk according to what how Yah's word is. They're going to go like, do what feels good to you. Do what you, what was that? Digital on the ground. Do what you like. Say what you like. Only thing that's going to cause is death and destruction in both of your lives, and not just you, those around you who knew you. They'd be like, wait a minute, I thought they was they said they believed in God and they or they believed and went to church, but he over here with this person, she over there with that person. Yeah, right,
Mm.
whatever. Don't gospel. That's a joke. And that's what we do, because again, it's not about just destroying the marriage, but destroying those that marriage could have influenced around you.
Hey, yo.
Hey, ditto.
Oh my gosh.
I was
This
saying,
is
hey.
this is so good. Like how so basically you wouldn't have been able to do this without the most high being in the center of the courtship.
That's correct. Correct. Because again, we did not compromise the relationship
Hmm.
to begin with.
Hmm.
Because again, the lie is always being told. Well, how you know it's gonna work out unless y'all do some stuff and see what she like, what he like, and just live together for a while. Bruh, stop lying to yourself. Like I said, I'm talking for talking as a man. It's like, bruh, stop lying to yourself. Just say, I just want to have sex. I don't want the commitment. I don't want to have nothing. Like I said, when I get bored, I just want to be able to move on. It's like that's why a lot of these some of these camps promoting polygamy. It's like it says
Plus.
show me in the scripture at the very beginning whom did Yah create? Adam and Heva and Eve. I didn't see Eve, Tanya,
Then, right.
Shannon, Maria. I didn't see none of them up in the garden. I saw Adam and Eve. That's what it was at the beginning. That's what it's supposed to be now. And he said, well, in the beginning, well, he said, what about, uh, I can't think of his name right now. The one who had who had multiple wives and everything. We see that throughout the scriptures. Like, yeah, sin had also entered the world by this time too.
Mm.
So you say you can't use that as your your foundation for saying polygamy is okay. Well, we did it in Africa, like that. Being from West Africa, it's like once again, this is after sin has entered the world. When we are born again, when Messiah comes to live within us, and we're serving the Most High, we're to go back to the model that He put in the scriptures. That's what we are to model. Plain and I mean, we can't make it more simple than say, "Oh, you want to be like that? Cool. Let's take some object lessons. Let's take a real good look at brothers, at Uncle Samson.
Uncle.
He loved the ladies. We saw what happened. Got his locks cut. He got blinded.
Mm.
All right, say, let's look at King David. Yeah, the ladies, he got one that won his wife, killed the husband to get his desires met. What did Yah say to him? The sword will not leave your house.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Solomon, his son.
Next up. They said if we were living in modern day, like I said, if they were living in modern day times, Solomon would have been pimped out. He would have been dressed to the, just everything. Everything. It had ladies on each arm. And then after all that, at the end of his life, he says what in Ecclesiastes? It's all vanity.
All vanity.
Mm.
And did he regret it? Yes, he did. He
Yes,
certainly did. So it's like, brothers, it's not, no. And like I said, for ladies too, it's like, just because a dude out there who likes Shamar Moore, don't mean he your husband. Brothers, just because over here look like Vivica Fox, don't mean that's your wife because she look good. It's like, what is their heart? What is their character? And if you're in a marriage, do not go out there and be like, well, it's okay if I can just be. No, it's not. If it's compromising to your marriage, the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I have a question, and I know we're about to wrap up soon, but let me see, I want to ask it correctly. And this is not in a physical sense. What was it that you needed that you found that you could get from each other? Does that question make sense? What name some things that you needed, not physical, that you
Mm-hmm.
found you knew you would get from the other person?
Mm-hmm. Um, for me,
Dr.
I
Penny.
need for me, I needed to be, well, part of it I needed to be valued just for me and not for what I brought to the table or for whatever physical, whatever I brought to the table. You know what I'm saying? I wanted, I needed for that person to see me how Yah saw me. All right. I needed for that person to do that. I needed for that person to know how to guard that
Mm.
um, through prayer, through uh, just like Hamashiach washing me with the word. I needed someone to to be able to do those things. I needed for someone for me to be able to look at that person and say, yes, I can put my life into that person's hand, knowing full well that they're not just going to physically protect me, but they're going to protect my heart. They're going to protect my mind. They're going to protect my walk with the Most High. I needed to know that yes, I want that person to be the father of my children, knowing full well that he's going to walk that child into the presence of the Most High. He's going to do that. He's going to model before that child, before me, and before in our household. He's going to model what Hamashiach did for us,
Mm.
right? And not to be perfect. I'm not. The expectation was for him to not be perfect, but that he was striving to do those things. He was working on himself, and he could be honest with me about where he needed help, to say, I need you to pray for me on this thing right here. And then this is the thing that I'm doing. And I can visibly see that he's doing those things. Right. Um, so that's what I needed. And that's what helped me to be secure, to be like, okay, dude, where you going? Okay, let's go. Let's get it. You know, because when I know that's security, for me, when
Mm-hmm.
you he was able to be strong in his walk with the Most High. It doesn't necessarily. I didn't, and he knows this. I said I really could care less. What kind of weapons you have and what kind of physical prowess you can to hold down. I said no. In the end, if we got to go, we going together. We going together. Hamashiach didn't stand there and throw bowls with the crowd. When people were actively coming after him. When it was time to leave, Yah provided a way of escape. Not now. If it came down to the point where something has to, I understand that, but I'm not looking for that. I rather you make sure that you're protecting your family and trying to be with your family
Mhm.
to hold them down, not
That's
just
good.
physically,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, but spiritually as well.
Mm-hmm. That's good, Gary.
Mhm. Uh, I would say what got from her is that she actually saw me. She to see me for who I am, and not project an image onto me. Like I said again, when we were recording, again, stars like Shamar Moore, who was out there that women swooned over, Morris Chestnut, all that type of stuff. I need somebody to see me for who I am. That no, I am not the most handsome person. Well, I'm not saying I'm ugly, but I'm saying no, I am not the most handsome person in the world. No, I don't have six-pack abs. No, I don't have a couple $1 million, a few $1 million in the bank account. No, I don't drive the newest car. I don't have any of those things. But do you see me for who I am? Somebody who will love you, who will be faithful to you, who will walk with you through the good times and through the bad times, who is loyal, that ain't gonna sit here and play some stupid games. I'm like I said, I'm not that say to actually see me for not that per se, don't judge me by what you've seen out in the world, how some brothers act. Like I said, I don't know nothing about game, spitting game, as brothers used to say, how to talk to women. I don't know how to do none of that.
And I didn't know how to do that either. So
Yeah. I don't. I'll be
that's
clueless. I'm like a deer caught in the headlights when it comes to that. Pam, like I said, that's how geeky. I'd be like, huh? That's me. and and to be able to accept, I said, to accept that, I'm not, like I said, it's kind of hard to say that I'm not mentally and emotionally like some brothers are out there again that focuses on just only the physical prowessness of what they are. Again, lifting the weights and being cut up and just basically being that intimidating physical presence so the woman can always feel secure. It's like, yeah, I got muscle, got guns out here. So yeah, babe, I can protect you. For her to see past that and be like, he actually will protect my heart.
Hmm.
And being a sci-fi geek, someone that she said that she was right there with me when I'm watching Dune and stuff like that, and we knew how
Oh
to
God.
call each other.
Yeah, she's a true ride or die. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and do the dishes, boo.
Yeah, when there was time, like I said, like I said, again, when she knows that I could sit, when she can actually leave me alone if I'm there watching a Godzilla flick or a cartoon from, back in the day, and not be like, what in the world did I marry?
Oh,
It's like, and doesn't treat me like a child, knowing that, yeah, I may like these geeky things, but when it's time for adult things, I'm on point. And that's what I got from her. And the big thing is financially not judging me, knowing that, like I said, I'm saying, she made way more money than I did. For a lot of brothers, that could be intimidating. They'd be like, oh, I can't talk to her. Why? Man, she got bank account to here. Man, I'm just struggling just to make it by. And because at first that said, no, when I first heard and say, yeah, I'm going to brag on you. You already know what's coming, Pam. when
bring it out.
when Doctor Pamela, before she was forward, yes, I said doctor, people. Yes, she has a doctorate.
In
Not,
case you didn't hear him, he said she's a doctor. Go ahead.
yep. When people say she a doctor, my first instinct at first, for some guys, they'd be like, "Oh, never mind. I don't have a
Man.
degree. I can't talk to her because she gonna want this, that, and the other. She gonna want the moon plus a few other things. I can't do that. I need to leave her alone." When I heard about that, I was just like, "Okay, Ann, great." And because they said, because when we started talking, I used to make her laugh. I started talking to her about quantum mechanics,
It does.
virology, astrophysics. And she's like, how in the world you know all these things that don't have a degree? It's like, I read. I watched a lot of science shows, science fiction. That's how. Uh, but she didn't judge me based upon my financial status because what was endearing to me is again how she accepted that I was an only, it was just me and my mom, the only child, and I was taking care of my mom. Because for some women, that might scare them away. It's like you take care of your mama, huh? All right, well when she gone, whatever, go ahead, holler at me. Because I need a man that's gonna be here full time, um, provide everything what I need. You got a mama to look out for. So you be breezy. She didn't do that. She accepted. It's like he's taking care of his elderly mom. It's like, yeah. And I think that's what, as your parents said, they said that's one of the reasons why her mother, because I'm old school, I asked her mother's permission to marry Pam. I asked her. And she said one of the reasons why, because she saw how I treated my mom at church. Because we all, her mom, because her mom had came up, was sitting with Pam, and I had my mom there who was in a wheelchair. And I didn't know her mom was seeing how I was treating my mother, and basically she was saying that if I treat her with that kind of gentleness and kindness, I know I can trust my daughter with you.
Hmm.
Yep.
And she, like I said, and she didn't judge me according to my past relationship and foolishness with that other person. She's like, that's has nothing to do with here and now.
Right.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yep.
So This is the end, and I am so. One of the sisters in the chat said she's going to share this, and this is just it's beautiful. I have such a special place in my heart for Hebrew love, and I didn't grow up seeing examples of marriage. I didn't see marriage at all
Yeah.
growing up, and so to see it and to see it bloom and to see it blossom and to see it be so fruitful, it's promising, and it gives us single sisters hope, because a lot of men, they're angry with the Hebrew women, and a lot of women are angry with the Hebrew men, and I choose to believe on both sides there's still good out there, and that I'm waiting for the good. And so, this just it gives hope, and it also gives hope to those who are married and might be struggling. Um, that we can work through these things if Yah is in the center. We love each other. These are the takeaways that I got from you all, and I get daily because Pam and I talk for hours every day. But the takeaways I always get is it almost goes with that saying that I heard that I share a lot: serve each other and work on yourselves. And I see you guys do that daily. And you both are just, you always doting on each other, loving on each other. You keep your business private. Pam and I are on, we're on the phone all the time. She'll share like, if you guys have a disagreement, she'll share that. And I don't ask. And there's so many nuggets to take away from for people who want to get married, people who are already married, and we're all in this thing trying to learn it, and we need more examples that look like us, and it gives people hope and encouragement. That being said, we got a little surprise. Go ahead, Pam, take it away. I say, what?
He asked me to share some of our wedding pictures. Is that cool? All right. All right. So this is, I don't know how to,
Just put it in front of the camera.
like they,
Closer.
Oh, there it is.
closer.
Yeah.
Hold still, hold still. Okay.
That's my mom and my dad. And of course me and my, and
Go ahead,
so
Pam. Sorry.
Yeah, I cried when I saw her.
Yes.
I sure did.
I won't show that picture. All those
Show
gems
my
right
favorite.
there. Huh?
Show my favorite.
You really want me to show it? You want me to show it?
Yes. Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. It's funny. I think.
Oh, Chastity said y'all were cute, Pam.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Pam Thompson. That's my sis, y'all. That's my girl. Hey, sis.
There's another one of us.
Aww.
Yeah, I was a big dude back then. I'm like, good grief,
Right?
man. Enough to put the euros down.
That's our pastor who married us. He was also, he and his wife were the ones who they courted. They were the ones who went through courtship when they got married. And so he married us.
Oh, oh my God. I can't take it anymore. Yo, Mike had perma grin that whole day.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
He was a happy camper. Trust.
And the one thing, if you don't mind me sharing,
Oh, go ahead.
one thing is something my mom had said to Pam. He says, if I remember correct, she says, "It is good to see my son smile again because I hadn't smiled in years."
Oh my gosh.
And when Pam came into my life, when Pam came into my life, I smiled for the first time in years because I was so broken. Like I said, literally, if they say what happened in 1998 to like 2002, I'm like, I literally don't remember. It was that bad. I blanked most of it out. I don't remember. It's like, what happened? And when she came, I actually smiled for the first time in years.
No,
So
you
that's why I'm
didn't.
grateful to Yah for her.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
I
just
can't.
as
I
grateful
can't.
though.
And they both fools. They both have the best sense of humor you have ever seen, and that is a prerequisite for mine. Because y'all know I'm private about my silliness, but when you get close to me, I let the silly part of Jill out. He has got to have a sense of humor, please, y'all,
Yeah,
because just listening to you guys, it cracks me up. There's
yeah,
there's one picture she's looking for that you were holding her
Yes,
like, come here, girl, got her.
here it is.
Can't find it. Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Is it this one?
No, it's not that one. But still, look, it's just too good to be true. He
There's a
can't take
couple.
his eyes off you, girl. He was like, come on here, girl.
There's
I'm like, is this really happening? Is this real life?
Oh my gosh.
Somebody's
I
gonna wake
there's
me
a
up, right? This
couple.
is this is a dream, right? This ain't
oh
really
my
happening.
gosh. And y'all, let me tell you something about Mike Ford. He fights for his family. Spiritually, naturally, that man fights for his people. And it's a powerful thing to see a brother do that. It really is.
Yeah,
That's why
there's a,
I don't let people tear down my brothers, man. No, no. You can't do that with me.
yeah, there's a lot of brothers out there who are doing the fighting thing, but that's not who the world is going to focus on. They're going to focus on the foolish dude, dudes
Yeah.
with their pants around down their behind, thinking that they good, and it's like, no, you're giving another message for something else, doing that, or who's out there putting on dresses, and doing all this other nonsense, to get approval for this,
Mhm.
that, and the other.
Mhm.
It's like, no, we're out here, but we're never going to be the focus of what the world wants. That they want to see us be the clowns, the
Mhm.
fools, the dogs, atomic dog, you know, just out there doing whatever. It's like that's not the majority of us.
That's right.
It really isn't.
Mhm.
See?
It's a small part who act foolish and do that. And it's hopefully, like I said, brothers are stepping up to come, especially to young men, heck, even to some of the older men who should know better, who still want to be out there and play. You think it's 1973 and they super fly, trying to do this, that, and other, ain't got no teeth, got a limp, and thinking and thinking they still all that, trying to play games with some young girl. It's like, you are elder, you should have been way past this now, and bringing up the younger brothers to be like, look, man, pull your pants up, young man, you don't talk to her like that, especially you don't put your hands on her.
Right.
Because I said that's what we teach our son Matthew, because obviously he has no personality like that, but instead I teach him. I'm like, do you see how I treat your mom? Yes, this is how you are to treat your wife. Or say, if you decide to get in a relationship, no girlfriends or whatever, again, um, there will be no doing what you feel like you want to do. Say, no, we're going to go the way Yah has commanded you to do. Because that way, if this person is following Yah, loves him with all her, they will dump you before they would ever do anything, against Yah. He said, that's the one you want, son, the one that loves Yah above you. That's what you want. And that's what Pam is. It feels like, baby, hey,
Oh,
it's either me or the Most High. Who you want? Bye. She out the door.
that's it. That's all.
So two more,
That's
and
it. That's all.
I haven't seen some of those pictures in years. It's like
yeah,
we were young. Good grief.
this is right after we got to the altar. There,
He's blown.
he's like,
I'm gone.
"Woo!" He's
I'm
fighting back
gone.
them tears.
In tears, I'm gone at that
Oh
time.
my
I'm like, I
gosh.
guess I got to hold it together, but
And you know
no.
what? It's like men don't understand when a man releases his feelings like that in front of a woman, it a decent woman, it boosts her respect and love for him. Because to
Hmm.
us, you're telling us, I trust you enough to show you my tears.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
to men, it's like, oh, I got to be strong for her. And, but it moves my heart when I see men move to tears like that. I'm like, oh man, this is real.
Yeah,
Right.
Chastity said, yes.
we have
There's
to be.
one.
That's it. So is that the one? He's like, look at I got.
Nah,
He was grinning, Pam.
I could not help
Oh,
it.
you were so
I
pretty
could,
in that picture.
almost
Thank
19 years later, I'm still grinning.
Oh my God. You know what? I daggone love it.
you.
Still got my teeth and everything. I'm still grinning.
Praise Yah. Praise Yah. You can chew. Praise Yah.
And praise y'all, you can cook.
Yay. Yay. Yay.
Yes.
And from the being from the South too, oh yeah, but we was
Yeah.
eating different. Oh yeah. She learned it from her mom.
Yay.
Because her
Yeah.
mom,
I'm s-
when our son came on, my mother-in-law came up, it got real southern in the house when it came to food. We
Oh
went to
yeah.
the store. She said, "We'll get some fish." I'm like, "Oh, here we go." Cornmeal. It became, and I heard a song, "Ain't gonna hurt nobody." That's why I'm playing in the background back of my head, because it's like she did the fish fry and everything. My father-in-law came up, and it was just like, "Oh, we eating good today." And Pam had
Man,
the same talent.
that's awesome. Well, I just wanted to tell y'all thank you. That's my best. This is sister friend, and my brother, the Mike Stroh.
Yep.
Thank you all so, so, so much for this. I think it's very inspiring, especially for our younger brothers and sisters that are trying to do the right thing. And they just don't know how, it's like, what is courting? What does that even mean? It's keep your hands to yourself and seek Yah. No, I'm kidding. But that's part of it. But it's inspiring because it's doable. And yeah, how could he not honor and bless a marriage that you chose? You made a conscious effort to put him first and to be set apart and holy for his purpose, because marriage is a strong ministry. It's beyond, I know it's to minister to each other, but I think that it's ministry for others. A good, strong Hebrew marriage is a good witness to other people that they desire it, and then they model after it. They have somebody they can go to and ask questions. There's so much that comes with it. And that's why I just couldn't, I'm so grateful you all shared your story and chose not to keep it to yourselves. This is true love, y'all. They're not just doing this. Can I tell them the toothpaste story, Pam? Can I tell them?
Show you right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
All right.
one time I was on the phone with Pam and they were just smooching away. And then I heard him say, okay, now go brush your teeth. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, girl, that's how we joke. I was crying. But and she was like,
Right.
you said it.
Look, if your breath is tart, you gotta fix it. I'll tell you the truth. He'll tell me the truth.
Yes.
Okay, let's get it right.
That's love, man. That's love. They were smooching away. And he said, okay, now go brush your teeth.
Like my eyebrows on fire.
Oh, that's fun day.
And I do the
Well,
same thing to her. She'd be like, "Baby, he said my eyelashes just fell out. You need to go do something about that, please."
Help
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Help me to help you. Okay.
That's love to me. That's love. When you can have jokes like that and just love on each
Ooh.
other and be yourself, I
Right.
love it. And it blesses me because even people in the chat notice how you all look at each other. You can't fake that.
Mhm.
You can tell when somebody's truly in love and when they're not. And
Yeah.
you two truly are, and it's a blessing for me. But thank y'all so much. I kept y'all know I kept you on here for 2 hours.
It was.
Tell the
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
It was,
Yeah, I
it
didn't know.
was fast. It did. And so many people are saying it was a blessing to them. And, like I said, people watch it more after. And, I just pray that they utilize this as a tool if they want to be married, but they want to be holy before they do that. Because, Christianity and the world teaches us, you give auditions and samples and stuff. If it's Yah, it's all going to work together and you don't even have to question it, second guess it, overstep any boundaries. Just trust
Exactly.
it. Any parting words from the two of my favorite people?
No, just
No.
trust ya in when two people are beginning to come together, there's an interest. Trust the process that Yah has designed for us to walk into relationship and marriage with. He truly kept us. He really did. It was a joy. It was a complete
Mm,
joy to walk through that process before we married each other. It was been a blessing, and we're still learning and understanding and reaping the benefits from having walked through that the way he intended and not the way we will sometimes think we ought to do that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, game.
Yeah. Like I say, ditto.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. That's all.
That's it. That's all. Well, you all, I love you both so much, and I don't even have to tell you.
Yeah.
Um,
Love you too.
and I
Love you,
appreciate
that
your
girl.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I appreciate your time, and I'm sure I'll talk to you in about 5 minutes. But thank you all so much, everybody who's watching, who has watched and had to jump off. And for those who are going to watch, I pray that this is a blessing and that it's a wonderful tool that you can use for anybody that wants to be married and they want to do it Yah's way. And with that, don't forget to click like, share, subscribe. And I will see you next Wednesday, where, Yah willing, our guest is going to be KC for Yah, my sister girl, Raichang, the songstress, the most humble, sweet, loving sister you've ever met. I'm excited about that. So until then, I love y'all and see you then. Holla!